Welcome back! Today, we're opening up the ultimate Investigator's Kit. You know that feeling when you're just staring at a spreadsheet, a sea of numbers, and you know there's a story in there somewhere, but you just can't see it? Well, this one's for you. We're about to equip you with a powerful set of tools to go from those raw, confusing numbers to some really revealing insights. I want you to start thinking about your data in a whole new way. Picture this. It's a crime scene. It's just a jumble of disconnected clues, right? You've got fingerprints over here, some witness statements over there, a messy timeline. By themselves, they don't really mean a thing. The real job of a detective is to organize all those clues, to question them, and to piece together the real story of what went down. And that's exactly what we're going to learn how to do. And that, right there, is the central challenge, isn't it? A spreadsheet packed with raw numbers is just a collection of facts. The magic, the real value, is in turning them into a compelling, revealing narrative that you can actually use to make a decision. In this explainer, we're going to build the bridge that takes you from that messy pile of evidence to a completely solved case. To do that, we need the right tools. Our little investigation is going to unfold in 5 parts. First, we'll get a handle on the Logic Flowchart, which helps us make critical decisions. Then, we'll call in a specialist accountant for some really laser-focused analysis. After that, we're going to consult the Master Librarian, who can find any piece of data in an instant. We'll finish up our fieldwork with the data sorter to see the big picture. And finally, we'll bring it all together, moving from clues to our final conclusion.
All right, let's grab our first tool, the Logic Flowchart. This is all about making decisions. You know, in any investigation, you're constantly hitting these forks in the road, where you have to decide what to do next based on the evidence you have. Well, logical functions are how we automate that whole process right inside our spreadsheet.
At its heart, this tool lets you ask your data a series of simple yes or no questions, and then it acts on the answers. Think about it. Did our sales actually beat the quarterly target? Yes or no? Is this inventory level getting dangerously low? Yes or no? Is this expense claim over the company limit? See? It's the foundation for building real intelligence right into your analysis.
The absolute workhorse of this tool set is the IF function. Let's really break this down because it's so fundamental. The function has 3 parts. First up, the logical test. This is just the question you're asking. Is the value in this cell greater than 100? That's your test. Second, you have the value if true. This tells the function what to do if the answer to your question is yes. And third, you have the value if false, which is, you guessed it, what to do if the answer is no. You're basically creating a sentence. If this thing is true, then do this, otherwise do that. It's a simple fork in the road, but oh man, is it powerful.
Now, sometimes a single question just isn't enough, right? For those more advanced interrogations, you can bring in and, or. The and function is like checking a suspect's alibi. Every single piece of their story has to be true for it to hold up. For example, to get a bonus, maybe your sales had to be over target and your client satisfaction score had to be above 90%. Both have to be true. Or, on the other hand, is a bit more relaxed. It just checks if at least one of your conditions is true, so a package might get flagged for review if it's overweight or if it's going to an international destination. Just one of those is enough.
Okay, on to our next tool. Imagine you don't want to look at the entire crime scene. You only want to analyze very specific pieces of evidence. For this, you hire the specialist accountant. These are your conditional functions, like SUMIFS and COUNTIFS, and they are designed for incredibly targeted analysis.
Now, building these formulas might seem a little intimidating, but let's make it super simple. Just think of it like you're giving precise instructions to your accountant. Step 1, you hire them. You just start typing equal SUMIFS. Step 2, you point them to the evidence. That's the column of numbers you might want to add up, like your sales figures. Step 3, you give them their first rule. Look at this other column, say the region column, and only pay attention to the rows that say north. And step 4, this is where the magic happens. You can keep adding more rules, like and only where the product is electronics, to get a super specific total.
So to make that official, the syntax always starts with the sum range. That's the numbers you want to potentially add. After that, it's just a series of pairs. You give it a range to check, and then the criteria for that range. You can stack as many of these pairs as you need. But here's the key takeaway. For a number to be included in that final sum, every single condition has to be met. So if you're summing sales for the North region and electronics, a sale from the South region doesn't count. A North region sale of clothing doesn't count either. Only the entries that tick all the boxes make the cut.
Now, here's a little trick that makes this tool way more powerful. Meet the Scribe, the ampersand symbol. Instead of typing a rule like greater than 100, you can use the ampersand to join an operator, like the greater than sign, with a cell reference.
So greater than and B2 tells your accountant, hey, sum up the values that are greater than whatever number happens to be in cell B2 right now. This one simple trick can turn a static report into a flexible, interactive dashboard. It's a huge upgrade for any data detective.
Our third tool is the Master Librarian. So often in an investigation, you need to find one specific piece of information in a massive case file, but you only have a single clue to go on. Kind of like finding a suspect's phone number when all you have is their name. Lookup functions are your expert research assistants that do this in a flash.
For years and years, the go-to tool for this was VLOOKUP. But honestly, it had some serious flaws. For one, it could only look to the right. If the info you needed was in a column to the left of your clue, well, you were just out of luck. It was also incredibly fragile. If you inserted a new column, it could break every single VLOOKUP in your file. And worst of all, its default setting was an approximate match, which could silently pull the wrong price for a product, a really dangerous error. But today we have a modern successor, XLOOKUP. It can look in any direction, left, right, up, down, you name it. It defaults to an exact match, which is way safer and what you want 99% of the time. It's just more powerful, more flexible, and honestly, a whole lot easier to use.
Let's just look at the syntax because its simplicity is really its biggest strength. It has just 3 core parts. First, the lookup value. This is the clue you have, like a product ID. Second, the lookup array. You just highlight the entire column where the librarian should go searching for that ID. And third, the return array. You highlight the column that has the info you want to get back, like the product's price. That's it. It's that simple. What you're looking for, where to look for it, and what you want back. No more counting columns, no more worrying about breaking your formulas. It's a game changer.
Now, before XLOOKUP came along, the real pros use a powerful combination called index and match. You can think of this duo as a coordinate tracker. Match would find the row number of your clue, like finding the right floor in the library. Then index would go to that specific row number in another column to retrieve the data, like grabbing a book from a specific shelf on that floor. It was the gold standard because it was so flexible, but it meant you had to nest 2 different functions together, which could get confusing. XLOOKUP basically takes all the power of index and match and wraps it up into one simple, elegant function. Okay, let's grab the final tool in our kit, the data sorter. You know, sometimes the most important clue isn't a single number, but the overall pattern or the distribution of all your evidence. This tool is designed to help you quickly categorize and summarize huge amounts of data so you can finally see that bigger picture.
The key function here is frequency. It's what we call an array function, which is just a fancy way of saying it works with entire groups of data all at once. It just needs 2 things. The data array is your messy list of raw numbers, all the evidence you've gathered up. The bins array is a list of categories that you get to define. So, for example, if you have customer survey scores from 1 to 100, your bins could be 20, 40, 60, and 80 to group all the responses. It's perfect for summarizing things like age groups, price points, or project timelines.
So how does it actually work? Well, it's pretty brilliant. Frequency takes that messy pile of numbers from your data array. It then goes through every single number and sorts it into the correct category, or bin, that you set up. In modern spreadsheets, the results then just spill out into the cells right below your formula, instantly creating a summary table for you. In one single move, you get a perfect overview of your data's distribution. How many customers are in each age bracket? How many products fall into each price range? It just turns all that noise into a clear signal.
So there we have it. We've explored the Logic Flowchart, we've hired the specialist accountant, we've consulted the Master Librarian, and we've used the data sorter. Now it's time to put it all together. Let's see how these tools help us assemble our findings and, finally, solve the case.
And this really brings us back to our core mission. At the end of the day, these functions aren't just abstract little bits of code. They are the practical, hands-on instruments you use to build that bridge we talked about at the beginning. They are how you take a static sheet of raw numbers and actually transform it into a dynamic, revealing narrative that tells a compelling story.
What this toolkit really does is let you master the 2 core missions of any data detective. On one hand, you have functions like XLOOKUP and frequency. That's data manipulation, the critical first step of just organizing your evidence board. And on the other hand, you have functions like if and SUMIFS. That's data analysis, the interrogation phase, where you start asking questions and figuring out what the clues are actually telling you. Every good investigation needs both. First, you organize the facts, and then you question them to find the story.
So, your toolkit is ready. You now have the instruments to make decisions, to perform targeted analyses, to find any piece of information you need, and to summarize the entire big picture. The only question left is, What story is hiding in your data just waiting for you to come and discover it?